Thank you so much for tuning into my show, William Wallace for America. In this segment on my podcast, I am bringing in a gentleman who is helping our military veterans with his organization finish the fight. This show is brought to you by Patriot Mobile. Not only am I bringing them up because they're a sponsor of my show, but also because they also put veterans first. If you are a veteran, you might want to switching your cell phone service to Patriot Mobile by going to patriotmobile.com/WWFA. They do have military veteran discounts. Go check them out there. Glenn Baker, thank you so much for joining me on the show. How are you doing today?
William, thank you for having me, my friend. You caught me putting my man makeup on. It increases the hotness factor by about 50%, my friend.
Oh wait, let me find something. Would these do that, or do I need cool sun? Oh no, this stuff.
No, you got to have sunglasses, brother.
I gotta have sunglasses. That's us old white dude that can't see glasses, right?
Exactly.
So Glenn, let's start off right off the bat with the question: what is your organization? Finish the Fight, and we're gonna go from there. I think there's a lot to unpack here.
There is a lot to unpack, and it really comes from my story. I'm a combat veteran, country music artist, now documentarian, author, and founder of a foundation called Finish This Fight. Had no idea a year and a half ago on any of that except singing would be a part of my life. I did a show with General Flynn close to 4 years ago. Man, time flies. I don't remember exactly.
Right.
I'd come back into music at 52 years old, William, after being out for 19 years. Had something big happen in my life in 2017, changed my perspective on the world, and God opened my eyes up to some things, brought me back into music after a 19-year hiatus. Had released 2 songs. July the 3rd, 2020, a song I wrote called Freedom. And the next year, a song I'd written called No New Normal. And it started people paying attention. I ended up being invited to an event to help raise money for an organization that was putting an exoskeleton on paralyzed veterans so he could walk again. General Flynn was there. We got the chance to get to know each other. But they wheeled up this young Marine on the stage that day. And with the help of an exoskeleton, he'd been paralyzed 7 years. With the help of this exoskeleton, he was able to stand up and walk around the room, telling everybody he now gets a chance to someday walk his daughter down the aisle. He could reach the top shelf for his wife, feels like a man again. Brother, I was in the corner crying like a baby. I mean, I had tears dripping out my beard. It broke something inside of me, and I will never recover, and I'm okay with that. So I knew I wanted to help. I knew I wanted to help this veteran organization. And so I wrote a song, and it took a while, man. It's a very intricately emotional song. It's a military song about 2 young men that meet, join in the military, go off to training, become best buddies, and then all hell breaks loose and they're in a war together. So last summer, a year and a half ago, I went to Georgia to film the music video, and I found out that the organization that I'd written the song to support was no longer really helping veterans. And I'm like, well, crap, what do I do now? And my friend, God just kind of leaned in. He said, boy, this was the plan the whole time. You're going to do it. I said, huh? He said, you heard me. Quit mouthing off. And I'm just like, yes, sir. So he guided me to film a movie, Finish This Fight, Diary of a Pissed Off American Soldier. We got that done in 90 days, an hour and 53-minute docudrama.
Wow.
With some people you probably know. Colonel Alan West is involved with that. Colonel Ivan Raiklen, Craig Sawyer, the Saw Man, Chad Prather, just to name a few.
Nice.
And so we've used that.
Where can the movie be seen?
Everything I'm doing right now is on the website at finishthisfight.us. From the movie to the music to the Exoskeleton Foundation that you were asking the question about originally. We've got it underneath one umbrella.
So is the exoskeleton story, is that the story that you referred to in 2017? Because you referred to a story in 2017 that got you back in, and then the gap, there's some information, then you brought up the exoskeleton. So what's the story then?
the 2017 story I included in the movie. I had been a business owner for quite some time. Like I said, I'd been out of music for quite a while. And in 2012-14, I was in North Carolina, ended up buying a log home mill and was building log homes from the log up. Did that for a couple of years, had a contractor decided he needed logs more than he needed to pay me, and I ended up selling the company back to one of the original owners. Came back to Florida, relaunched my life insurance agency. In 2017, July in the afternoon, I got a knock on my door. And I opened the door up, getting ready to go take a shower, and there was 10 cops and a SWAT team, William. And long story short, I was arrested, pulled out of my home, spent 23 days in Broward County Jail without an attorney, wouldn't let me have an attorney, wouldn't let me access my cell phone in order to get numbers to call anybody. I just disappeared. My kids in Oklahoma thought I died. And I was then extradited to North Carolina, where I found out that former partner I'd sold the company back to 7 months after I'd left the state, embezzled from one of the clients I'd given him and told him it was me. And I spent 51 more days in that jail. So 73 days in jail. By the time I got back to Fort Lauderdale, I lost my home. My car was repoed, 80% of my life insurance business taken because of a financial accusation. And the night after I got home, an infection I caught in that jail that they wouldn't treat me for went into my right eye and destroyed my cornea. So it blinded me. I ended up a year blind. I had to have a cornea transplant from the VA the next year. Spent about a year not caring whether I lived or died, William. And a year later, a buddy of mine from Oklahoma showed up in town, was working, picked me up, took me to dinner down on the beach. And that night just so happened there was a band playing 80s covers. And my friend, for the first time in a year, I was smiling, I was laughing. And for the first time in 17 years at that point, I was singing my butt off out in the audience. And my friend, in the middle of a song in the second set, this little girl came over. She's an Armenian girl that was the lead singer. Came over and handed me her microphone in the middle of a song. And when it hit my hand, my whole life changed. And God called me back to music after being out for 17 years at that point. I was terrible, man. My voice was out of shape. It's a muscle. If you don't use it, you lose it.
That's right. Exactly right. That's an amazing story. So you are so I'm just curious, what happened with how'd you clear up the false allegations? How'd that go about?
Took 3 years.
What's that?
Took 3 years, never went to court. They didn't have any evidence against me at all. Should have never been an arrest. Should have never been anything criminal either. But 3 years later, they dismissed it with prejudice due to a lack of evidence that I had no idea it had even taken place, much less had part of it. And William, here's the really sad part. That former partner was a retired pastor, 50 years in the pulpit. And he's the one that did this. So I put it in God's hands. I let it go. Didn't even check on him.
Did he go to jail?
No, didn't even check on him until last fall. I Googled him and found out he'd been dead for 2.5 years.
Oh, wow. Yeah. God doesn't sleep.
Nope.
So what's interesting, do you think he got sick and died before they had a chance to investigate him? Because that would have been around what?
No, they had plenty of time. They had plenty of time to investigate him. He was one of these. He was on TV for 25 years in North Carolina. He was well known. And people there either loved him or hated him. He had a son-in-law that was a state representative. Powerful guy. And so I just like I say, I put it in God's hands and just walked away because, the word says, vengeance is mine, saith the Lord. And that if you'll cast your cares upon me, I'll carry you. And he made me a lot of promises. And one of those promises he made in the jail is, Glenn, don't look with your eyes. What is meant to harm you, I'm going to turn it into something really good if you trust me. And my friend, that's what he's done. In a matter of 7 years now, he's taken me from spending time in jail, losing everything, to getting to travel across the country and sing and film a movie and have a podcast and now have an organization where I'm helping put exoskeletons on paralyzed veterans.
I absolutely love that story. So now through all of this, through all this fire, you created this organization, finish this fight, where people go finish thisfight.org, right?
.us.
Finish this fight.us. So so you started this organization to finish this fight. What is the fight again exactly, please?
Well, I've been fighting this battle or in this mission for 4 years. Like I said, I just thought I'd written a song. I was going to do the easy thing, man. I was going to write a song and let somebody else do the work.
And what's the mission? What is the purpose of the organization?
The mission is to help these veterans that are paraplegics, chest down paralyzed, to be able to stand up and walk again with the use of technology that's available. Now, we've had this technology in the U.S. for 10 years, and there's been upwards of 10,000 men and a few women, I think, veteran-wise, that could have been to use the technology to be able to walk. But in a decade, there's been less than 100 that have been received. So that's not okay with me.
Right.
Less than 35 have gone through the VA. The others have been personal. Somebody wrote a check for them or a foundation helped and that kind of thing, but less than 100. So earlier this year, about May, I found a company coming in out of France that's got next generation technology. So the old technology, the boys that were wearing them had to have enough upper body strength and hand strength to use canes for balance.
Right.
The machine walks. It'll help them stand up and walk, but they have to have enough strength to balance. This new technology is self-balancing. It's
almost
AI.
like those little what do you call those segways where you can go forward or backwards, but it kind of helps balance a little bit. It's the same technology.
It actually looks like they're walking. There are gyroscopes at each joint that are AI analyzed, and so it's making micro moves to make sure that they're balanced. It's not FDA approved yet. It's going through the FDA this year. I got a good buddy that's in the Department of Interior that's going to help push it through for us, though. So we're expecting by early next year to have that thing out and ready to go.
One of the reasons I was excited about bringing you on today's show is that I personally believe that our country and our government and even our military has continually let down our veterans in our country, and our veterans get forgotten all the time. They get wrapped up in these false accusations. I'm bringing another one on. I'm doing an interview either later this week or early next week with a veteran who was one rank away from general in the Air Force. That story will be told pretty soon, about what happened there. But I find all these veterans that have had these injustices that they've faced in their life or in their career, while at the same time, veterans that are just being cast to the side by our own government and not being taken care of. And I find lots of organizations like yours, Finish This Fight, that do many other things to take care of our veterans. And I think it's extremely important to shine a light on them because they are the last line of defense for people who exit the military and get forgotten by our government. And if we don't protect them, we're gonna lose our military, because we're not gonna have people who want to join the military, because they're gonna be like, well, wait, why should I join a military when I'm gonna get falsely accused of something while I'm in the military? I get that's not what happened to you, but other stories I've told. Or when I get out of the military, they're not gonna be taken care of, so they're not even gonna sign up. So things that you're doing not only is the right thing to do to protect our veterans, but it's the right thing to do to protect the future of our military. And I thank you so much for that and your service.
You got it.
So Glenn, what kind of things are you guys doing to raise money, and how can people help?
Well,
I always do that. I want more information about things that you're doing, but I always want to try to include that in as a way to help your organization.
Well, as I told you a year and a half ago, I thought I was just writing a song. So this is all new to me. I've developed this foundation. We've done some money raising. Actually took our first veteran to New York in July and got him fitted for an exoskeleton. He walked for the first time in 3 years in a clinical trial this last summer. So we're working right now with some organizations looking for some sponsorship from some bigger companies. I'm talking with several right now. In order to do a lot of things. Number one, we're going to put together a musical tour across the country, where everywhere we go, somebody in that local region that's qualifies for this help is going to get a chance to walk again. So I'm talking about bringing people with me like Eddie Montgomery, Big and Rich. I've done done a show with Big and Rich in Nashville. We're going to be talking with them. Ira Dean from Trick Pony is a good friend of mine. Some country music guys that love our country, love our God, and care about our boys. So we're looking at putting together a musical tour around the country to help raise awareness, raise money, and help people at the local level. Secondarily, like I said, sponsorship with some companies. Third, just buy the movie. It's $10.99. I own it. Every dime of that $10.99 is going to be used to help a veteran to walk again. So go to finishthisfight.us. It tells everything you need to know, who I am, what we're doing, and how we're getting it done. There's a donation page. Obviously, we've got a Give, Send, Go. I've never raised money in my life, William. So this is kind of a new struggle for me. And don't get it twisted, brother. It's a struggle. People don't like to hear the word money. They want to just be taken care of, but it takes money to get this thing done. I've actually put over 130 grand out of my pocket in this thing in the last year, and my pockets are getting empty.
So to see the movie, somebody has to actually go on the website and pay $10.95.
Pay $10.99. It's you own it. You can watch it however many times you want to. I built my own platform, kind of like YouTube, so that they couldn't take it away from me. It's on my platform at finishthisfight.us. It's there forever. You can purchase it, watch it over and over and over.
This is great. This is really a fantastic way to to not only help veterans, but like I said, I want to see that. I'm going to go watch the movie myself.
I think you'll get a kick out of it. Now, I will warn you, my director convinced me to do a topless scene in this movie, but we pixelated everything. So it's PG. No, we did act out the arrest scene and the jail scene and that kind of thing. I told my story in that because one of the things one of the things that changed my life more than anything ever in my life, William, is that arrest and that incarceration. Because if it can happen to me, it can happen to anybody. Never been in trouble before, and had no reason to be in trouble at that juncture either.
So they wouldn't even let you make a phone call to get out of jail overnight then on bond.
Well, sure, they would let me make a phone call. I just didn't have any numbers. It was all in my cell phone. Even got a judge to give a court order on the 8th day saying access this cell phone, and they wouldn't do it because the battery had died and they wouldn't charge the phone. It's a corrupt system, my friend.
I know. I hear these stories all the time. What ends up happening is these are all bureaucracies. It's all a bureaucracy, and you get people within these bureaucracies that think of it. It's almost like they feel connected to it, like it's their fiefdom. Whether they're mentally thinking this is my chance to control, or they're drunk on the feeling of the control they get from being in charge of the bureaucracy or within the bureaucracy, that they go, and that they're also so in tune with finding the guilty person that they don't want a chance to let you. They don't want to take a chance of letting you go. Like they want to get the guy, so to speak, and they're drunk on their power, and so they've got you, and they're going to do anything they can to keep you, because there might be a chance that adds another notch in their bedpost, so to speak.
The notch in the bedpost, I would agree with 100%. Some of it I don't completely agree, just because I've been there. I think the system is so corrupted for power, no doubt about it, but justice is not the purpose. A win is the purpose. And when you talk about these DAs, their whole goal is to win at whatever cost it takes. And that's why you see plea bargains so prevalent, because then they don't have to worry about the fight. If somebody accepts a guilty plea, they've already won, and it doesn't have to go to court. I just saw one yesterday. A man we'll call him a man. It really is not a good description. I think it was in Louisiana, that kidnapped 2 little kids, killed the mother, ended up raping and killing. Mm-hmm. You can't say that. Killing a 4-year-old and keeping the 6-year-old little girl together. They just plea bargained to him.
I've heard about this story. They plea bargained him. I haven't heard that part yet.
They just plea bargained him, and the woman accomplice got a plea bargain as well.
Wow!
You tell me that's justice?
So how long has he spent in jail?
They didn't give the results of the plea bargain. They just said there was a
Right.
plea bargain reached.
Yeah. So he gets out in 10 years on good behavior.
Probably, yeah.
Well, I'm probably exaggerating because there's a murder involved, so it might be 11. No, and I don't mean to make light of it. I'm just exaggerating a little bit to make the purpose of it. So,
Yeah.
what other stories have you? Can you talk about that prove some of the good work that Finish the Fight has done? In addition to the one that you talked about with the exoskeleton with the guy walking his daughter down the aisle.
Oh, we're a baby foundation, my friend. This foundation has been alive and birthed since November of last year. Actually, on the books since May. We began our mission in May, raising money. We raised $12,000 to get this young man into New York and get him into the clinical trial. Now we're pushing forward with a large number. My goal is 100 of these exoskeletons next 18 months. There's been less than 100 in a decade through the VA and through private organizations. So we're wanting to hit that number ourselves in 18 months. It takes $15 million to do that. So talking for 100. It's
for
150,000 each.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's okay. So all right. Well, then we got to start getting you connected with some larger organizations.
Yeah.
So I want to talk about freedom for a second. And while I'm asking you one of my questions that I ask everybody near the end of my show, so it's not going to be for a few more minutes. I'll ask everybody where we're losing freedom in America. I want you to connect the freedom that you offer people. And I know it's sounds kind of common sense, when you talk about, but you're giving people freedom of mobility. I'm not trying to answer it for you, but what I'm trying to dig a little bit deeper and take away the surface answer, if that's okay with you.
Sure.
I want to talk about the freedoms that you've seen limited in your fight for veterans. And I want to talk about the freedoms that you think you can empower people with that are more than just providing with somebody the freedom of mobility.
Well, mobility is obviously a big one. Imagine yourself being a war fighter at 23, 24, 25 years old and being told you'll never walk again. As a man, that's a debilitating, it's emasculating. It causes a lot of things to happen. Suicides, despair, depression, all those things that are involved. So the mobility is one thing. When I saw Joshua, and this young man, the first young man that's receiving the first one, his name is Joshua Holm, Holm. He lives in Merrill Wells, Texas. 41 years old. He was injured in Iraq in 2003, and he fought 19 years. The injuries that he'd received there, was able to walk with the help of steel braces. He calls them Forrest Gump braces.
Yeah.
Was able to walk for many years with the help of braces, but don't get it twisted. He's had over 100 surgeries in those years. And 3 years ago, just in his closet, he turned his head to the left and his neck snapped. A injury he'd received back in 2004 completed, and it chest down paralyzed him. So I had the opportunity. He's a lovely dude, man. No, lovely. Let him hear me call him lovely. He's a soldier. He's a warrior. His nickname is the Man of Steel. But I had the opportunity to take him and his wife to New York and watch the transformation, coming from a wheelchair to stepping up out of that wheelchair and taking his first steps. And I wish we'd have spoken before. I've got a little 2-minute preview video that I should have sent you. But seeing the smile and the joy on his face as he took his first steps in 3 years, and then walking over and standing next to his wife and being able to hug her from a standing position. So the freedom of being able to move is one. The benefits of his body moving in a manner that it was created to move, which is the walking and the standing and the sitting and those kind of things, is therapeutic. The movement that increases the circulation that the body doesn't get from just sitting in a wheelchair. Do you know that most paraplegics will die 10 to 15 years earlier than someone that's not? simply
Yeah.
because their body's not moving. So it actually gives them freedom of movement and freedom of a longer life. There's so many things that are involved with that.
As you've witnessed the bureaucracy itself, and you've talked about the system being corrupt and more geared towards a win than justice, what other loss of freedoms have you seen in that system? And I don't want to walk away from your organization, Finish the Fight, but the reality is all of these things that have happened in your life have been stepping stones that brought you to finish this fight. And part of what you've been through has created the passion in your heart to do so. So are there other things that you witnessed that of your freedoms that were lost, through that kind of maybe, shined a light on your passion?
William, until 2017, I was one of these veterans that just believed my country loved me for what I'd done, had my best interest at heart, and that we were born in a free country. When that happened to me and God started opening my eyes up, I realized that we do not have the freedom that we were told we had. We have a form of freedom in this United States, but it's not completely free. If they could pick me up without any actual evidence and hold me, and I was actually told I was probably going to be there a year and a half. It ended up being 73 days, but because I got myself out by threatening my attorney. But it could have been much, much longer. If they can
Wait,
do
by
that,
threatening your attorney, I'm apologizing about threatening your attorney.
yeah, I told him he'd done such a hell of a good job that I wanted the name and telephone number of the DA. The day before I got out, I told him this because I'm going to call him three-way with my sister. I finally got numbers when I got to North Carolina, and we're going to get to the bottom of it. The next day, he brought a piece of paper that was a on my own recognizance release form. Up to that point, they wanted $25,000 in cash. So I called him.
So now you got to wonder if your attorney had something in with the DA. Is that what I'm hearing?
Well, I don't know about having something in with the DA, but it's a money grab. He got paid every time he talked to me. And if I was there a year and a half, he had a continued paycheck.
Right. Was that a free attorney?
It was, because I had nothing. Remember, when I was transferred to North Carolina, nobody knew where I was at. My kids, my sister, everybody thought I was dead.
They just thought you disappeared. You went AWOL and went off, and hey, that's a military veteran that went off, which is a story they like. They go, oh, here's an old military veteran. You know what happens to those military veterans, and they they just go off the deep end. That's probably what they were hoping for, is that they would just say, yep, here's a problem. Military veteran stole the money. He died. Problems, case solved.
What they didn't know is I was a son of the living God, and he was speaking to me the entire time I was there. And he gave us a plan. We implemented that plan, and telling that attorney we would go directly to the DA. He called the bluff, and they let us go, let me go the next day. But at the end of the day, William, we don't have the freedom, truthfully, that we've been raised to think that we had. Take a look at home ownership. You can actually purchase a home, put it on a 30-year mortgage, pay for it every month. In 30 years, you own the home, right? No,
Right.
you don't.
Nope.
No, you don't. Try not paying your taxes for a year on your property, and what's going to happen? They're going to seize it. That's not true freedom. Go fishing without a license, buddy, and let a fish and game walk up on you. What's going to happen?
They take everything.
Mm-hmm.
They go, oh, the boat, the keys to your car are on your pocket. Whoop, let's get the car. They get everything in the car. You got you got something in the car that's theirs. Everything.
We do not have the freedom that we thought we have, and we can go even deeper into that. We can go into our voting and the things that have been taking place in the voting world. I've got great friends that are involved in politics, and I never was a political guy, but I have become that way now because that's where the battle is. I got a friend that's Chinese background or Chinese DNA, was born in Panama, raised in Venezuela, educated in Mexico. So she's a smart lady,
right?
And been part of the election integrity movement since 2020 or 2020. Yeah, 2020. And she saw what happened in Venezuela. It's the same thing that's happening here.
Can you share her name?
Her name is Debbie It's morning for me, Debbie. Yeah, I can. Give me a moment. And she's here in Florida. Debbie, why can I not remember her name?
I've interviewed her, I think.
Let's see. Debbie Ferris.
Yes.
And Debbie's a great friend of mine.
Praying Mantis.
Praying Mantis, yeah.
Yeah, she's been on my show before.
She's powerful.
Yes.
Lady. I met her about 3 years ago. We were doing a show together, an event together, and she and I have been friends ever since. But that's another place where is our freedom really what we think it is? You know, this goes back to what we're doing, what I'm doing, and what a lot of other people are doing grassroots is taking our freedoms back. My goal, literally, William, is to get 100 of these done in 18 months and embarrass the government enough that some little old country boy from Oklahoma had to do this because they're not doing it, that they'll make some changes and pick up the slack. I don't want to do what I'm doing. That's not my goal has never been to have a foundation and go out and raise money and that kind of thing. But I'll do it.
But you know what I think is great about people like yourself and even the foundations? Let's put aside the work that your foundation does. Let's just say, okay, here's a foundation, you know, just happens to be called Finish This Fight. It happens to do some things, but just the forward motion of you creating a foundation and making people aware of those issues that your foundation does is a fight for freedom, not just for people that are, you know, that are, you know, physically impaired, but our conversation. We get together here for a conversation on your organization, and now we find ourselves talking about freedom in the simple ways that we're losing freedoms, but even more importantly are the simple things that we can do to empower others to make the awareness that we're losing our freedom and what they can do peacefully. Because a lot of times when you talk about freedom, people go, oh, there's those crazy people that call themselves patriots talking about that freedom thing again. And, you know, they just sound like they're all conspiratorial. We're not losing our freedoms. And they think of it as crazy. But when you talk about some basic things, you know, we're not talking about going to the Capitol with pitchforks and, you know, and torches. We're simply talking about things that not sure with somebody trying to come up. You know, we're just talking about some basic things that that people can do to not only empower themselves but bring the awareness of to keep our freedoms from slipping away. Are you trying to share something?
I just shared with you the little teaser from the New York trip. If you want to look at that, you're welcome to.
Yeah, this is you know, for the people that are on the podcast, they're not going to see.
I had a 60 millimeter mortar that landed 3 feet in front of me, and so it didn't cook off. And so it technically they would consider it to be a dud, but it wasn't a dud. It had a broken propeller on it. I got pictures of it. I carry with me and stuff. It's about the size of a 1.5 liter bottle. But it has kill radius about 25 meters, 20 to 25 meters. So basically, if that round would have went off, then confirmed dead would have been 20 to 25 meters. Been 31 months since I've been able to stand on even with a brace or being able to take one single step. So it's been 31 months to the day yesterday.
And then God leaned in and he said, you know what? You're going to do a foundation. You're going to be the one to help these boys and some girls, I'm sure, get to walking again, back on their feet.
It became so real when we physically came here and I physically got to see face to face to that unit. And knowing that, I mean, like I said, it's pretty much like an avatar. I mean, I felt like I, you know, plugged in and we became one, like I was breathing with it, you know, like, I mean, it just incredible. I mean, I can't even imagine, I can't even describe the feeling that I had, but like, it was like deep down inside of me, it's like, you know what, I felt like I can fight again. I really am able to stand again, and I'm like, I can do this.
like, I guess, the sense of pride. Like to stand tall, no matter what height you are. Not a jab at Glenn, but just to stand. Just to stand, I think, is huge. We take it for granted.
That is absolutely amazing. That's very touching. And to see it happening it makes a huge difference too.
Yeah, I just wanted to give you a flavor of that.
No, I'm glad you did. I'm glad you shared it. That I really appreciate that. And so your movie is around this, you said? Or
I've got a 19-minute documentary that is strictly about our trip to New York. I'm going to release that this week. It's called Joshua's Journey. Finish this fight, Joshua's Journey. So it's a 19-minute. It's on my YouTube channel is where it's going to be available. It'll also be available on the website at finishthisfight.us. So it's free. Don't have to pay nothing for that one. Take a look at it and see what this is all about. Man, to be able to walk again. Bro.
Well, Glenn, let me ask you one of my final questions for you today, which is, where do you think we are losing amongst all the stuff we've talked about? It might sound redundant, but I always ask because very often when I ask a question after an interview, people might think the answer is going to go in one direction, but it goes in a complete other direction. And maybe that's where this is going. Where do you think we are losing freedom the most in America?
I think we've lost freedom a lot longer than we thought we have. It's happened decades and decades ago. But what we're living in right now is a result of changing our values as a country and as people. People can say all day long that this is not a Christian, wasn't founded as a Christian nation. That's Huey. It was. Our people came over here to have religious freedom, to worship God in a way other than the Church of England. And when we began to push God away from us and from our organizations and from our schools and from our kids, from our families, and we started taking corporal punishment out because, oh my gosh, you can't spank a kid. My God, you're going to tear them up for the rest of their life. The problem is we're seeing kids now that have never had any punishment whatsoever that are controlling our streets, that are controlling stuff that they have no business controlling. So I think we lost our freedoms when we started caring more about how we feel. Feelings are liars, William. Feelings can be a liar.
Right.
They're there as an indicator, but they can lie to you. When we start caring more about our feelings than the truth, when we start caring more about whether we offend somebody than standing behind the truth, our freedoms are whittled away. And we're at a point right now that if we don't make some major changes, and if we're not willing as God-loving, and I am one, I'm a God-loving, country-loving man.
Yep.
That doesn't give a crap what you think about me. Now, I say that I like to be liked, but if you don't like me, I feel like that's probably that's probably on you.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
I'm a pretty likable guy.
Right.
But if we're not willing to stand up and put ourselves in the line of fire, we're not in 10 years going to recognize this place any longer. I already don't. I wrote a song and released it in 2021. It said, I woke up this morning and looked out the door to a country I don't recognize. We're already at that place. And it's going to take people like you, and it's going to take people like me, and it's going to take people like Debbie Ferris. It's going to take people to stand up and say, you know what, it's enough. Never wanted to be political, never wanted to do that, but this is where the battle is. And if I don't do what I can do, why should I expect you to do what you can do?
And if we don't do it now and start the movement now, then one day it may turn to pitchforks and torches. Today, if we stand up and do it, it's going to take just our voices and good examples and faith and family and calling on our Creator to back us up to be able to make positive changes in a positive way, in a peaceful way, to make things happen now, to turn the tide. And that's if we do it now. Otherwise, we're going to have to fight our way out of it.
Well, and that's the truth in most of the country. But, William, there's some places in the country it's already there. I was in Chicago a few weeks ago with Stuart Rhodes, and we had to battle Antifa, trying to shut down everywhere we went. Chicago's a different animal. I live in Broward County. I call it the communist capital of Florida, but it's not nearly as bad as Chicago.
Wait, who is this Antifa that you speak of?
Well, yeah, that's not really an organization. It's
they're not an organization, so we can't talk. So we can't say Antifa, right? They're not an organization, right?
Let me just say this real clearly. Antifa is an organization, and I saw it.
What's interesting is I did a show where I said, you know what? Let's just say they're not an organization. Let's just say they're a movement. They are a collective movement. There you go. Just like a lot of other organizations weren't started as an organization, they were started as a movement that became a powerful organization. I mean, look, the KKK was not an organization at one time. It was just simply a movement that became an organization. And, and now they've, of course, well, that we won't go into all of that, but either way, you look at all kinds of organizations around the world that started as movements. Look, there's movements for bad, there's movements for good. You can clearly look at Antifa and say it is a movement for bad, and whether they want to call it an organization or not, it's there. It's an organization as I see it.
Yeah,
they're an organized movement. How about we agree to disagree and just say, you know what? To the people that disagree, let's just agree to disagree. It is a movement that is organized.
Exactly. And if you really want to know where they come from, just follow the money that funds them.
Yep. Glenn, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. Any final words before I ask you to hang on while I sign out?
You know what? My final words are, if you wonder what you can do to help, maybe you're sitting and you've been thinking about this for a long time and you're like, Glenn, I don't know what to do. What can I do? And my answer is, I don't know. I don't know what you can do. I didn't even know what I could do. I thought I was just writing a song. But find out. Get to know the Creator. Get to know God. And He will guide you. But here's the thing. You got to be willing to get up off your butt and get out of complacency, get out of your comfort zone. Greatness has never been found in the comfort zone. And greatness is calling out to you, and we need your help. So stand up, take part. Let's make this country something to be proud of again.
Glenn, words of wisdom that not only will I follow, but I'll ask the listeners to follow. Please hang on 1 second while I ask everybody, please share this interview, share the podcast, share the video, whichever form you're listening to. Please share it with others that not only could use the help and resources of Finish This Fight, but be able to help use the information and passion that they have for others to be able to help others yourself. Remember, this show is brought to you by the Wellness Company. If you go to twc.health, you use that promo code /WWFA at the end. That promo code gets you a discount off of ways that you can help protect your medical freedom. Thank you so much, and I will see you on the next episode.